On April 8, 2026, a man walked into a packed restaurant in Houston, Texas for a birthday dinner. By the time he was carried out, he had multiple bullets in his chest and was fighting for his life. The man who shot him did not run and hide. He went straight online, started a $20,000 challenge mocking the man he had just put in the hospital, and dropped a diss track 5 days later.
Do the BNT, do the BNT, do the BNT, do the BNT. And there y'all go. BNT challenge, man. Hey, the best BNT challenge, man. $20,000 BNT challenge.
This is the story of what happened at Confessions Restaurant on Kirby Drive, and why it was never really about a birthday dinner. Before we go further, please like, comment, and subscribe if you find value in these discussions. Now let's get into it. To understand what went down at Confessions that night, you have to understand who the main people in this story actually are. Because none of this happened out of nowhere, and none of it can be understood without the background. Ben Anthony Fields, known to the rap world as NBA Ben 10, is a 26-year-old rapper from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On paper, he is a recording artist with his own mixtape, his own clothing brand called Slime Design, and a growing following on social media. But the real reason people know his name has nothing to do with any of that. People know Ben 10 because of how close he is to NBA YoungBoy, and that closeness goes way deeper than music. Their mothers lived together at one point, which makes them first cousins by family connection. Ben 10 joined the NBA crew when he was around 12 years old, after the two of them got into a small fight over a blunt, squashed it, and became brothers from that day forward. YoungBoy has called him a mud brother in interviews. In their world, that means someone who has been through the dirt with you since before there was anything to show for it. Ben 10 was there before the money, before the fame, before any of it. He also has his own history with the law. In 2020, he was arrested as part of a large multi-agency operation targeting gun and drug trafficking in Baton Rouge, a federal firearms charge that made clear this was not a man who was unfamiliar with what dangerous situations looked like. He also caught an aggravated assault case alongside YoungBoy back in 2016 that both of them eventually pled down. So when people in the rap world talk about Ben 10, they are not talking about someone who ended up in a dangerous situation because he did not know the risks. They are talking about someone who has been living inside those risks for a long time. On the other side of this story is a 32-year-old rapper from Detroit named Jeremy Ford, who goes by All-Star Jr. He started making music seriously around 2016 and built a real following in the Detroit rap scene through independent releases on his own Get a Bag Records label. He came up alongside T Grizzly as part of a crew called All Stars Ball Hard. Detroit fans have been rocking with him for years through tracks like Casey Painting and $1 Million Thoughts. He is not someone the whole country knows yet, but in his city he is respected. And part of that respect comes from what he has been through in real life. Back in September of 2021, All-Star Jr. was shot in the head while driving on 8 Mile in Detroit. He survived it, got out of the hospital in 3 days, and went right back to dropping music from his hospital bed. When people try to describe All-Star Jr., that detail is the one that matters most. This is a man who has already looked death in the face once and did not flinch, did not go quiet, did not step back from the life he was living. He kept going. And that is the mindset you need to understand when you try to make sense of everything he did after April 8th. Then there is J. Prince Jr. He is the son of James Prince, the legendary founder of Rap-A-Lot Records in Houston. J. Prince Jr. runs a streetwear and music company called Mob Ties, which he has described as standing for movement of bosses together in elevated structure. He carries significant weight in Houston rap circles because of who his father is and the family name behind him. He has been involved in various artist management situations and music releases under the Mob Ties brand. And by early 2026, he had already been in the middle of at least one very public dispute with Memphis rapper Finesse 2 Times over a contract situation that played out ugly on Instagram, with Finesse going live and essentially begging to be released from the Mob Ties deal. J. Prince Jr. is not someone who usually stays quiet when controversy finds him. But in this story, he is the person whose personal business allegedly started a chain of events that ended with 2 men in critical condition at a Houston hospital. The beef between J. Prince Jr. and All-Star Jr. reportedly started because J. Prince Jr. began dating All-Star Jr.'s baby mother. Things between them had been building behind the scenes for a while before any of this became public. Social media and multiple hip-hop commentary channels consistently pointed to this personal situation as the root of everything that happened on April 8th. No one has proven in a courtroom that J. Prince Jr. directed anyone to do anything that night. But what is not in dispute is that all 3 of these men ended up inside the same restaurant at the same time, and what happened next changed all of their lives. On the night of April 8th, 2026, NBA Ben 10 was at Confessions Restaurant on Kirby Drive in Houston's Upper Kirby neighborhood. He was there to celebrate the birthday of another NBA affiliate known as OG3, a birthday dinner with roughly 20 to 30 people inside, customers, staff, and members of their group. Another rapper named Dead End Ron was also there, with Ben 10 as part of the same crew. By all accounts, the night started as nothing more than people coming together to eat and celebrate. At some point during the evening, All-Star Jr. also ended up at Confessions, and the 2 groups ended up sharing the same space. J. Prince Jr. was also there, though he later insisted he came alone and had no idea All-Star Jr. would be present. What happened next was described clearly and specifically by Houston Police Department Lieutenant R. Wilkins at the scene. He said that from the video they already had, it appeared that a group confronted a man and attempted to rob him of his chains. That struggle lasted somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute. They got him to the ground. It appeared they got at least 1 chain from him. Then more people jumped in. A full brawl broke out. The man who had been getting robbed was getting beaten. Multiple people on top of him, on the ground, hitting him. Sometime during that fight, according to Lieutenant Wilkins, the man being beaten produced a pistol. He must have had it on him the whole time. He got it out and started shooting. 2 people were hit. NBA Ben 10 took multiple bullets to the torso. Dead End Ron was shot multiple times in his arms and legs. Both men were rushed to local hospitals in very critical condition, and All-Star Jr. fled the scene on foot before police arrived. The restaurant's owner, Sterling Lewis, released a full statement after the incident. He said the altercation involved a guest who was leaving and a separate group that had arrived for a birthday celebration. The venue was cooperating completely with HPD. They immediately added a doorman, security guards, and began working to install signs banning weapons on the property. The restaurant's surveillance cameras had captured the entire incident. That footage was handed over to investigators right away. Lieutenant Wilkins made one thing clear from the very beginning of the investigation. The man who fired the gun was being treated by police as the victim of a robbery attempt, not the aggressor. The legal framework here was that someone was being robbed and fought back with a weapon. HPD's Major Assaults Division launched a full investigation. They reviewed the restaurant's security footage alongside bystander cell phone videos that had already started circulating on social media. They began interviewing witnesses who were inside Confessions that night. Police noted they had strong video evidence and that witnesses were cooperating. As of mid-April 2026, no arrests had been made, and no charges had been filed against anyone involved in the shooting. The investigation remained active and ongoing. There was also reporting that Ben 10 was handcuffed to his hospital bed during his recovery, which told you that investigators were looking closely at his role in what happened that night. Whether anything came from that formally remained an open question as the case continued to develop. While Ben 10 was in the hospital fighting through multiple gunshot wounds to his chest, All-Star Jr. was on Instagram acting like the whole thing was entertainment. Within days of the shooting, he posted pictures of himself at a Detroit jewelry store buying new chains. The caption left zero doubt about what he was referencing. He wrote, "Had to shoot to the D get new ice 'cause my man's Ben 10 took some of my stuff to the hospital with him." He followed that up with another post that said, "Thought he was mob toys till I shot his ass a few times." Then he tagged J. Prince Jr. directly, writing things like, "Damn, you still running up Kirby?" and promising to show the whole world how soft he was. He used the hashtag #MobOnToy as a direct flip on the Mob Ties name, but the most disrespectful thing he did was launch what he called the Ben 10 Challenge, a $20,000 contest. He invited people on the internet to lie down on the floor and mimic being shot. The entire point was to mock Ben 10's condition while he was still in critical care at the hospital. He explained the rules himself in a video, saying it only worked if somebody shot your ass 4 or 5 times before you fell, and if you did not have anybody to do that for you, just lay down smooth, point your toes up, and do the Ben 10. The video spread everywhere. And while that was happening, the rumors about Ben 10's actual condition were getting darker by the day. YouTubers and social media commentators started pushing stories claiming Ben 10 had flatlined in the hospital twice, that he was paralyzed, that his own team did not expect him to survive the week. Those claims spread from platform to platform, from WorldStar to Instagram to Reddit, and suddenly the entire internet was treating Ben 10 like a man who was already gone. None of it was true. Ben 10's close friend Jamal got on camera and told people directly that he had just spoken to Ben 10 on the phone, that he was not paralyzed, that he was not on life support, that he was doing fine. He said, "Tell you how good God is, man. I just got off the phone with my little brother. My brother's straight. We just talked. Everything is straight. Stop believing everything y'all hear about all this life support. My brother good, live, talking, walking, smiling." OG3 went live from the hospital with Ben 10 right there beside him to show people directly that he was conscious, alert, and responding. OG Monique, the mother of OG3 and a respected figure in the NBA circle, had posted on Instagram the morning after the shooting with 4 words that shut down the death rumors as soon as she said them. 10 is a lot. Stop the made-up story. Ben 10 himself started responding to DMs from his Instagram account while still in the hospital, including one from Memo600 who sent him a message saying, "You better not be going out like that, blood," and Ben 10 wrote back, "You know I can't." 4 words. From a man lying in a hospital bed with multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. And that was enough for everyone who had been watching to understand he was still fighting and he was not done. Then, Youngboy's mother stepped into the conversation in a way that immediately went viral. She went online and addressed a podcaster who had put her name in his mouth, which was the stated reason for the video. But what she said at the end of it was the part that made people stop and replay. She said, "Whatever they choose to do, and whatever they do, if it turn out right, it turn out right. If it turn out wrong, it turn out wrong. They still mad. It don't matter. No matter what. They mine. Sure do. They make a bad decision. They might have to deal with their bad decision. But they mad. And this what I had to say today. A lot of people read that as her quietly standing behind whatever came next. That interpretation spread fast. Meanwhile, J. Prince Jr. was trying to put out his own fire. He posted a long response on Instagram denying any involvement. He said he went to confessions alone to celebrate OG3's birthday, that he had no knowledge All-Star Jr. would be there, that he never sent anyone to do anything. He also pointed out that he had recently had ACL surgery and could barely walk, so the idea that he was physically coordinating some kind of attack was completely off. He called All-Star Jr. a little boy who actually loved him, and said he was planning a sit-down interview to clear his name fully. All-Star Jr. responded by tagging him again and posting more, saying the interview was not going to save him, that he was going to keep showing the world who J. Prince Jr. really was. On April 13th, 5 days after the shooting, All-Star Jr. released a full commercial single called Expensive Wristwatch through Empire and his own Get a Bag Records label. The visual opened on narration about Houston robbery statistics and referenced the chains, the shooting, and the whole situation directly. The video got 300,000 views in under 24 hours. That was his biggest number in close to a year. 2 days later, he followed it up with another track called Mob Untied that went after J. Prince Jr., OG3, Dead End Ron, and the entire Never Broke Again circle by name. His numbers were going up while Ben 10 was still in the hospital, and he was not slowing down. Through all of this, the one person who had not said a single verifiable thing publicly was NBA YoungBoy. No posts, no statements, no verified activity, just silence, while the entire internet filled in the blanks for him. A viral post from a Twitter account claimed that YoungBoy had gone live and declared war on all of Detroit, with quotes like, "I'm going to war with the whole Detroit, and I've been riding round here for 3 days," but no actual video ever surfaced to back any of it up. Every mainstream outlet that covered the claim noted plainly that it remained completely unverified. YoungBoy had been released from federal prison on a felon in possession charge in early 2025 and was a free man, which meant the stakes of doing anything reckless were as high as they had ever been for him. His silence told you something. Whether that something was strategy or restraint or something else entirely, nobody outside his circle knew. Now I want to talk about what this situation actually represents, because it fits a pattern that has been showing up in rap culture for years in a way that never seems to change. PNB Rock said it himself just days before he was murdered in September of 2022 at Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles in South Los Angeles. He told people that robberies targeting rappers for their jewelry were so common in the industry that it was only a matter of time before it caught up with someone else. Then it caught up with him. He was sitting in that restaurant with his fiancée and their 4-year-old daughter when a man walked in, demanded his chains, and shot him dead when he did not move fast enough. The man who set that robbery up, Freddie Lee Trone, sent his own teenage son inside to do the actual robbery while he waited outside in the parking lot. Trone was eventually convicted of murder and sentenced to 31 years and 4 months to life in prison. The difference between PNB Rock's case and what happened at Confessions is that at Roscoe's, the robbery worked and a man died. At Confessions, the man being robbed was armed and fought back, and the people who came for him were the ones who ended up in the hospital. But the starting point is identical in both cases. A rapper sitting in a public restaurant with visible expensive jewelry. A group of people deciding that tonight is the night they are going to take it. That dynamic is not unique to Houston or Los Angeles. It is not unique to 2022 or 2026. It is a recurring pattern that the industry has not found a way to address, and that keeps producing the same kinds of outcomes. The only variable on April 8th that changed everything was that All-Star Jr. was carrying a gun. If he had not been armed that night, if he had not been able to produce that weapon from wherever he had it while being beaten on the ground, this would be a very different story, and almost certainly a much worse one. That is a complicated thing to sit with. The fact that the outcome that allowed Ben 10 to survive also meant that Ben 10 was the one in the hospital. That the self-defense which likely saved one man's life is also the reason another man is recovering from chest wounds. There are no clean heroes or villains in what happened at that restaurant. There are just a series of decisions about who to date, about where to be on a given night, about what to wear and what to carry, and how to respond when something goes wrong, that collided in a Houston restaurant on a Tuesday night in April and left 2 people on stretchers. What happened after April 8th is also worth examining closely, because the way All-Star Jr. responded to all of this, the challenge, the posts, the diss tracks dropping while Ben 10 was still in critical care, is its own statement about the world these men operate in. In another context, shooting someone and then going online to mock their condition while they are still in the hospital would be universally understood as grotesque, as cruel, as the behavior of someone without basic human empathy. In the context of drill music and the social media beef culture that surrounds it, it became content. It became numbers. It became 300,000 views in 24 hours and his biggest streaming week in a year. That gap between what those actions are and what that culture rewarded them as being is the thing that should make people stop and actually think. Because Ben 10 is a real person who almost died. Dead End Ron is a real person who was shot multiple times. Their families watched the speculation about whether they were going to survive spread across the internet in real time, while people engaged with it like entertainment. The Ben 10 challenge was not just disrespectful. It was a man turning the near death of another human being into a social media game with a cash prize. And people participated. People filmed themselves doing it. People shared it. That is the environment these cases live in now, and it is worth naming directly. As the situation stood in mid-April 2026, Ben 10 was alive, alert, talking, responding to messages from his hospital bed. The recovery ahead of him was going to be long and hard. Multiple gunshot wounds to the torso from close range is not something you bounce back from in a week. But the people closest to him were consistent across every platform in saying he was going to get through it. Dead End Ron was also alive and recovering from his wounds. No arrests had been made. The investigation was ongoing. The legal question of what happened that night, who started it, who had the right to do what they did, and what charges, if any, would follow, remained open. The social media war between All-Star Jr. and the NBA circle showed no signs of cooling, and Youngboy remained silent. What this case leaves us with is a set of questions that do not have easy answers. If All-Star Jr. genuinely believed he was being robbed and responded with a weapon in self-defense, what is his legal exposure? In Texas, the law on self-defense is among the most expansive in the country, but the specifics of what the surveillance footage shows, what the sequence of events was, and what each person's intent was in that room matter enormously. If the personal beef over J. Prince Jr. and All-Star Jr.'s baby mother is what brought these men to the same place that night, what responsibility, if any, does J. Prince Jr. carry for what happened? He has denied any involvement. The police have not named him as a suspect. But the question of how all 3 of them ended up at the same restaurant on the same night remains one that the public does not have a clean answer to. And what does this story say about the broader pattern of targeting rappers in public spaces for their jewelry, a pattern that has now sent multiple well-known artists to the hospital or to the grave over the last several years. PNB Rock, NBA Ben 10. The names are different, the cities are different, the specifics are different, but the setup is identical every single time. Visible Wealth, a public restaurant, a group of people who decided what belonged to someone else should belong to them. Until that pattern changes, and right now there is no sign of it changing, more names are going to get added to that list. Ben 10 texted back from that hospital bed, "You know I can't. You know I can't go out like that." And he was right. He did not go out like that. He survived a night that could have gone very differently, and he came back from it. But surviving is not the end of this story. It is just the part we can confirm right now. The investigation is still open. The beef is still running. The people involved are still out there navigating whatever comes next in a situation that has already produced 2 men in critical condition, a $20,000 mockery challenge, 2 diss tracks, and a viral video from Youngboy's mother that the internet is still arguing about. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one is still moving. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.